Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you're still well. We're going to talk about the electric bass today. Now, last week we watched Esperanza Spalding and her amazing band play the upright bass, or what's considered the acoustic bass. As you know, the word acoustic means non-electric. It makes all of its noise on its own without needing electricity. Now, the electric bass is the exact opposite. It needs electricity, obviously, to get played. And so, I have an electric bass here. It's pretty fancy looking. I've had this bass for, I don't know, 15, 17 years since I was in high school. And so this is a bass. Now, this bass is a little bit tricky because most basses typically have 4 strings. Now, as you can see by counting right there, the knobs up top, I actually have 5 strings on this bass. Basses typically have 4. I've seen them have up to 6 or even 7 strings. Most basses have 4, so let's just go with that assumption that most basses have 4 strings. Just like the electric guitar, the same thing happens. I pluck a string, it goes into these blocks, which are the pickups. There are magnets in here that pick up the sound, turn it into an electric signal. There's knobs, I can change the sound here if I wanted to. Goes out this cord. And again, just like last week, I'm using an amplifier on my computer. Typically, you have an amplifier that's just a speaker that you plug into just out here in the world, but I have one on my computer, so we'll go ahead and use that one. But yeah, same idea. You play a note, and then it makes noise via the electric cable. All right. Typically, the electric bass is played in rock bands and jazz bands. Sometimes in jazz bands, I'd say it's about a 50-50 split between an electric bass and then the big upright acoustic bass that we saw last week. I've seen it played in country bands. I've seen the electric bass played in funk bands. It's more of a modern instrument because it's only about 70 or so years old. Now, when you play the bass, you typically play it with your fingers. You typically don't use a pick. And so when I play, I go ahead, I play with my fingers, usually 1 and 2. Like that. And then you typically only play 1 string at a time. You typically only play 1 note at a time. And you can see my fingers moving. See my fingers moving up there. Now, you can play more than 1 string at a time. Check it out. You can play. Here. It's a little muddy because it's so low. As we've talked about before, the bigger the instrument, the lower the sound. And this instrument's pretty big. If I stood it up on the ground, it's actually almost as tall as me. Check it out. So, we're going to watch a really, really cool bass player that plays in a band called Vulfpeck. It's actually a German pronunciation. They have this really cool bass feature called Deantown. And you can see the bass player playing, and you can hear the low sound of the bass playing in this really cool, funky band. What I really like about this video, besides the fact that they're great musicians, is that they all feel the beat. You see them all bobbing their heads, and sometimes they're getting so into the beat that they all start making really weird, funky faces. They're just really feeling the beat. So enjoy Vulfpeck's Deantown. Again, click the link below. Check out the electric bass and enjoy. Thanks.